Welcome back. You're watching Nation Tonight. Pakistan woke up to a surprise attack today on its soil by Iran. On a day when Iran's foreign minister met with Pakistan's caretaker prime minister in Davos on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum, Iran hit alleged terror targets in Pakistan. Iran said that the targets were the bases of Jaish al-Adl, which is a US-designated terror organization and largely it is believed that it operates across the border in Pakistan. They have in the past claimed bombings and kidnapped Iranian border police. The attacks were carried out by Iran's paramilitary Revolutionary Guard. The country claims to have struck 2 locations of the Pakistan-based terror group in Balochistan. The strikes were carried out at a village of Kohe-Sabz in Kulag, which is about 60 kilometers from Panjgur district. Kohe-Sabz has been known to be the home of Jaish al-Adl's former second-in-command, Mullah Hashim, who was killed in clashes with Iranian forces in Saravan back in 2018. Meanwhile, in response to the attacks, Pakistan released a press statement condemning what it called an unprovoked attack, which killed 2 children and injured 3 others. It also warned of serious consequences as it summoned Iran's charge d'affaires. In fact, it has also now recalled its ambassador from Iran and asked the Iranian ambassador to Pakistan to stay away from the country. The attacks, remember, come just a day after Iran attacked Iraq and Syria, which further raises tensions in the Middle East. Last month, Iran accused Jaish al-Adl terrorists of storming a police station in the Iranian province of Sistan and Balochistan, which resulted in the deaths of 11 Iranian police officers. Now, Jaish al-Adl, or the Army of Justice as it is called, is a separatist terror group that operates on both sides of the border and has previously claimed responsibility for attacks against Iranian targets. Its stated goal is the independence of Iran's Sistan and Balochistan provinces. So clearly, this new altercation and a full-blown diplomatic war between Iran and Pakistan raises concerns not just for the region, but for across the world, where people and observers are seeing this region go through conflict after conflict. To talk more on this, I'm joined by Mr. Ashok Sajjanhar, former ambassador, and Colonel Dinny, defense expert, joins us on the broadcast. Good evening, namaskar, welcome to both you gentlemen. Ambassador Sajjanhar, I'd like to start with you. You know, these attacks were quite surprising. We know that Iran and Pakistan don't really share a very easy relationship. There have been altercations in the past. There are religious differences that are there. But how do you see this really new conflict that has arisen between the 2 countries?
Yeah, thank you very much, Shreya. And I agree with you. I think it has come quite as a surprise. I think it came as a surprise to Pakistan and to the world in general, because as you mentioned very correctly, that there was an attack by this Jaish al-Adl group in Sistan and Balochistan. That was in December, in which 11 policemen were killed. But there was no indication, and that is what in its press release that Pakistan has issued, it has mentioned that there are so many channels of communication that are open between the 2 countries. You know, both the countries have ambassadors in each other's capitals. But rather than taking up the matter with through these diplomatic channels, or for that matter, even when the Iranian foreign minister was meeting the caretaker Pakistan prime minister, there was no mention of this. So I think it has come as a surprise. And, you know, coming in tandem with the attacks by Iran in Iraq and Syria, that really, you know, gives rise whether Pakistan's intentions were solely limited to either, you know, what has been the problem as far as the Jaish al-Adl group is concerned in Pakistan, and you know what are the what it has mentioned that there was as far as Iraq is concerned, there was an ISIS base or ISIS group, and similarly in Syria. That were these the reasons, or the idea of Iran was to further ratchet up tensions because we have seen, after this Israel-Hamas conflict, there has also been some activity on the northern border with Lebanon, with Hezbollah coming in, and of course, much more activity on, as far as the Houthis are concerned, in terms of their attack on the shipping in not only the Red Sea, but also in the Arabian Sea. So whether it was an attempt by Iran to further ratchet up tensions, so that, it's been a warning and it's been threatening that this whole conflict in the Middle East is going to spread. So far, over the last 100 days, it has been
Okay.
limited, except for this more recent Houthi attacks. So was it an intention by Iran to expand the scope of activities that have been taking place? Because otherwise, no other country is interested in expanding the scope of whatever is happening, unless something happens by accident, except Iran, which has always been saying that, the Muslim Ummah and the Muslim world will not let the attacks by Israel go unanswered. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Colonel Dini, the fact that Iran has struck terror group on Pakistani soil also points to the fact that time and again, what India has been reiterating, that Pakistan does harbor terrorists on its own soil. It can talk, it can say whatever it wants, but time and again, whether it's the US finding Osama bin Laden on Pakistan soil, or India carrying out those strikes against terror groups. And now, of course, we have Iran doing the same. It really points to the fact that, Pakistan does provide a safe haven to terror groups.
Oh,
How much
absolutely,
can it
ma'am.
lie?
Absolutely, ma'am. I think the facts speaks for themselves. And today, the latest incident, which again brings to the international countries, that how Pakistan has actually become the epicenter of terrorism, and is Iran striking Pakistan in the way it did. It actually, calls out much more than what we used to say, that Pakistan is the place from where the terrorists are doing all the activities. Now, if you see today, Pakistan, it is being, the attack is being carried out into Pakistan from Iran, from Afghanistan, and when they struck us, we also struck inside Pakistan, and even China, for that matter, does give some sort of indication that they're not very happy with the Uyghur Muslims being sheltered in Pakistan. So therefore, all the neighbors have a problem with Pakistan, and the primary reason is they export terrorism. And I think today, what Ambassador was also mentioning, I think the primary reason why Iran struck inside Pakistan was to send a message across to Pakistan, as well also for its own citizens. If you see, on January 5th, close to 100 people were killed in the blast which occurred due to ISIS carrying out the attack inside Iran, which is, I think,
Yeah.
after 1979 revolution, the highest casualties which they had, Iran has suffered in such a manner. So that is why they have carried out near simultaneous strike inside Pakistan, north of Iraq, and even Syria. So it's definitely, so they're targeting places where they perceive that there is terrorism, there is terrorist camps and terrorist infrastructure, and that has to be brought down. And therefore, Pakistan is a place from where all these things happen, and it is especially this particular belt of Balochistan, neighboring with Iran, has always been an area where terrorism has flourished. And I think it is the latest one more step or one more example in front of us, in which it again shows how Pakistan today is a threat to the entire world, not just its eternal enemy, what they call as India, but even the fellow Muslim countries like Iran today is facing the same issue.
Yeah, and Ambassador Sajjanhar, the fact of the matter is that Pakistan has, responded and, blown it into a full diplomatic war, recalling its own ambassador, asking the Iranian ambassador to stay away from Pakistan. But the fact of the matter is that Pakistan is already facing security challenges from TTP, from ISI Khorasan, from the Afghanistan Taliban, with which it has had an uneasy relationship anyway. Can it really afford to have another conflict, which Pakistani military probably will not be able to afford? Even the Pakistan leadership cannot afford to have at this point.
The way I look at it, Shreya, is that this is semantics. This is for public consumption, meaning it could not have been seen, frankly, to be doing nothing when, as it says, its sovereignty has been challenged. And which is correct, that there are Iranian missiles and drones that have come across the international border and they have hit places within Pakistan. So it had, to be seen to be doing something. And the best that it can do is come out with a press release, recall the envoy, and tell the Iranian envoy to stay away. Meaning it is, it has warned in its press release of consequences that there are going to be, and Iran is going to be responsible for those consequences, etc.,
Yeah.
etc. But in my view, nothing is going to happen. Nothing is going to follow. So this is all on paper. In reality, in substance, in terms of concrete action, I don't think there is going to be anything that Pakistan will be able to do. It does not have the capacity, it does not have the stomach, it does not have the willpower, it doesn't have the intention. So, it'll blow hot and blow cold,
But
it will really not
Ambassador
be.
Sajjanhar, let me take this across to Colonel Dinny. Perhaps Pakistan is not capable on its own. Do you think that America can play a role here, Colonel Dinny? The fact of the matter is that US has been anyway blaming Iran for the maritime attacks. Do you think there could be some sort of American role in this whole conflict?
No, ma'am. I think Americans are too smart, and I'm sure they'll stay away from this, the mess which Pakistan has created for them to handle themselves. I completely endorse what Ambassador has said. Pakistan does not have the political intent, nor does it have the military capability as on date, and even the economic, bare minimum required to carry out even a limited offensive. So therefore, whatever they can do is, strong statements, the erstwhile Kadi Ninda, which we used to have here in India. So that's all what they can do. And that is just exactly, I think, even if you go through the social media chatter which happens in Pakistan, they themselves are, saying that this is what happens. And the most striking part which I found was one of the statement which came that, by a Pakistani, that he says that while we sleep peacefully inside Pakistan, they also sleep peacefully along the border. That means they are blaming the Pakistani army that how these kind of violation happens,
Yeah.
and the Pakistan armed forces are caught unawares.
Yeah.
So that is the bigger crisis which they have to face. I don't think, ma'am, the
And
US
repeatedly,
will
time
even,
and again, it's not the first time that Pakistani military has been caught unawares.
Absolutely.
Repeatedly, other countries have spotted terror groups on their soil, and repeatedly, the Pakistani military has been caught unawares. We'll leave it there. I'm afraid I have paucity of time. Former Ambassador Sajjanhar and Colonel Dinny, thank you very much for joining us and sharing your perspective and helping us better understand this situation that has panned out between Iran and Pakistan. We'll keep a close watch on that. And